As we continue our study through Romans, Paul in chapter 13 continues to show followers of Jesus what it means to be a living sacrifice. He explains how our behavior should be different than the world because we believe different than the world believes. I'm thankful that you took time today to pull up a seat. I hope these few minutes together help you follow Jesus better by deepening your relationship with Him and helping you live intentionally for Him every day. As I read verses 1 through 7 of chapter 13, I feel like Paul was looking into the future and looking right at America over the last few years, and even to our future, it almost seems like. We have a major problem with authority. Listen to what he says. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Simply, Paul says, do what is right, and they will honor you. Verse 4, the authorities are God's servants, sent for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants, sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience. Verse 6, pay your taxes too, for these same reasons. For government workers need to be paid. They are serving God in what they do. Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. My question is, why do we need to hear this today? And here's some answers. First, we want to be in charge. We want to be the masters of our own domain, of our own dominion, of our own domain. We don't mind others being in charge until they tell us what to do or until their rules contradict our desires and our ways. We don't want to submit to the leadership of others. I believe that God established authorities here on earth to help us learn how to respond to His authority. Parents, coaches, teachers, police officers, presidents, government leaders, all authorities are ordained by God. If we could not submit to leaders that we can see, how are we going to submit to God when we can't see Him? Authority is not just about rules. Earthly authority helps us grow in our response, in our responding to God. The second reason, we don't like it when our people are not in power. Or to say it another way, we hate it when people from the other side are in power. Our American culture right now is so divided and has been over the last several years because of who has been president. Both sides have done stupid things because their person was not in charge. Both sides disrespected the other leaders and the other side. We need to remember that the leader, regardless of which side he or she is on, is under God's authority and appointed by God. So we've got to remember the leader and those on the other side are created in the image of God, and they have value. So we've got to respect them. Paul says that we've got to give them honor. Regardless of which side of an issue they are on, we have got to respect them. The third thing that comes to my mind when I read this verse is, why do we put so much faith in our government? Don't get me wrong, I love our government. I love America. I'm thankful for the freedoms that we have. I'm so grateful for those people who've given their lives so we can live here like we do. But we've made an idol of our country and our president. This best sums it up for me over the last couple of political cycles. I've heard people say, if this guy or that lady is elected, then we'll be safe. On the flip side, I've heard others say, if this person or that person is elected, this will be the end of everything we know. We've elevated our government to godlike status in America. Countries and government leaders are necessary and ordained by God, but we should not put our faith in them. Jesus is and should be the author and protector of our faith. He should be our everything. He should be where we place our hope. But Jesus uses earthly authorities to teach us how to respond to him as the King of Kings. He uses earthly authorities to help us learn to submit to him as the Lord. The second big thing for me from chapter 13 is that Paul highlights loving people and circles back to how it fulfills the law. Think about the commandments for just a second, especially some of the last ones. Do not murder, do not covet, do not steal, do not commit adultery. To break any of these laws, you can't love people, because each of these rob people of their value. To break these laws, you don't see people as created in God's image. If we steal from someone or covet their stuff, then we don't love them. We don't value them. We love their stuff more than we love them. If we murder someone, we've gotten things so out of whack. We murder because others have what we want or are keeping us from getting our desires, or we're just angry. You and I, if we commit murder, are neglecting to see the value of others. If we commit adultery, it involves not loving and valuing lots of different people. We don't love the one we're sleeping with. We don't value their family. We don't value our families. We aren't loving our spouse. If you are single and sleeping with someone, you don't value yourself or your future spouse. Love is valuing and appreciating that all people are created in God's image. Breaking the law is not loving. Jesus commanded us to love others as we love ourselves. To wrap up this episode, listen to what Paul says in the last few verses of chapter 13. Verse 12, let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of God. Let us walk properly as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. So here's how we close. Today, put on Christ and his character, and don't focus on your own selfish desires. Look for ways that you can love others today. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Pull Up a Seat. If you've not yet subscribed, do that now so you can get content as soon as it comes out. Also, please help us get the word out by sharing on social media and inviting others to pull up a seat. Until next time, grow in your relationship with Jesus and find one way to live intentionally for him. See you next time when we pull up a seat.